Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya
Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari
Bol.
Bol,
Taigora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Taigora Hari Bol. Jai, Jai.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Lavanya and kids, please come here. Everybody please come here. Hari, please come in the front. Prabhus, please come have a seat. It is our incredible pleasure to have our youngest initiator devotee, Her Grace Aaradhya. Aaradhya ki? Aaradhya is going to talk about 5.29. Bhagavad Gita 5.29. Who wants to have peace in this world? We all want peace in this world, right? So Aaradhya is going to give us the formula today. What is the formula to have peace? So are we all excited? Whoever is going to ask a question is going to get a special treat from me at the end. Okay? So the more questions you ask, the more treats you're going to get. So just pay with attention, pay attention, ask questions, hear very, very carefully. Aaradhya tells something really, really important that every one of us can actually listen and put into our life for our benefit, right? Who wants to get benefited? Right? We all want to make progress. If you really want to make progress, let's hear very, very carefully what she has to say. She is incredibly blessed by her Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Asist Krishna Swami Maharaj. He has a lot of blessings on her and she does incredible service to the deities at her home. And what is she going to share with us is going to really help transform our life if we pay attention. Only if we pay attention. So let's all of us pay attention and welcome Her Grace Aaradhya by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. I'm very excited to be talking today, but along with that, I also want to say I'm not at all qualified. I'm very blessed to have this opportunity because of all of you and Guru Maharaj, as Adi Guru Prabhu had said, to get this opportunity, and I hope that whatever I speak today, I'm also able to better learn how to apply to myself, because in no way am I a master at all these things I'm going to speak, but I hope that through this discussion I can also improve on my understanding. And if there is something that you take away from this discussion or that you like, please know that it is not me, and it is Krishna himself and Guru Maharaj who has gave me the opportunity to be able to communicate such a message. But if it is something that is of mistake or you think it is wrong, please do correct me afterwards so I can improve on my understanding. So we can start with Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yotapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranami Hari Priye Pancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Pevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So as we said, we're going to be doing 5.29 of the Bhagavad Gita today. So we can start with the Sanskrit and we can just do line by line recitation. So Poktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sruhedam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Santim Richati. We can also have some devotees recite if they have it on their phone on Veda base. Yes. Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sruhedam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Santim Richati. Would someone else also like to recite? Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram Sruhedam Sarva Bhutanam Gyatva Mam Santim Richati. Thank you. So now we can read the translation of this verse and get into our discussion. So if someone wants to read the translation. Thank you. So here, really, as we always speak, the whole Bhagavad Gita is very relevant to modern life, right? Many times people question, well, the Bhagavad Gita, it was spoken 5,000 years ago, so how can it be relevant still today? And that's what makes the Bhagavad Gita, set apart from all the other texts of this world, because it's always relevant. It was said by Lord Sri Krishna, and really, we are Arjuna, like there was a battle going on when this Bhagavad Gita was spoken, but we are always fighting like our own internal battle, and that's why the Bhagavad Gita is so relevant. And this verse especially is very relevant because in this world we see there is so much unhappiness. Even if we do get some sort of happiness, there's some sort of stress associated with it, or there's some sort of misery associated with it. For example, like a lot of times people get into very good colleges or they might have a very good grade, but then there's this pressure to keep up that good grade or to perform well in that college. So like that, there's really no true happiness, and there's always something in this world that's followed up. So like that, this verse is very relevant to the modern world where there's so many people who are experiencing sadness, and the depression rate is also growing at an alarmingly rapid rate. So the reason for this rapid growth in sadness and depression in this world is because people are becoming ignorant of this spiritual knowledge and of this teachings of Krishna and God, and how it's so very simply said in this verse, as we will talk about today, how we can all attain peace. And it's really all a game of the mindset. And because people are unaware of this Bhagavad Gita text, we have come into this loop of just depression and anxiety over and over again. And that's also one reason why we so much emphasize book distribution, because this knowledge, it's not a secret, right? Like we're here talking about it today in a group of people, and you can easily search up lectures on YouTube nowadays, and there's Veda-based. There's never a reason that someone can't have access to this knowledge, but it's purely ignorance that has led us to be here. So when we book distribute, we are encouraging people to take this action, to take these really well books written of Srila Prabhupada and really educate themselves on how they can better their life, right? The book distributors, they don't get any monetary benefit. They are really getting no benefit, but we're purely doing it for the benefit of other people. So we should try as much as we can to distribute this knowledge to other people, because just seeing the condition of this world, it is very sad, and it's such an easy fix, as we'll talk about today. So the purport for this verse, as some of you might see in the Bhagavad Gita, it's pretty long, and so I've tried to kind of cut it up into pieces, and we can understand piece by piece just to help understand the information better. So the first part of the purport is, and feel free to read along if you have it pulled up somewhere, the conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusionary energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world. But they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. So we'll just read that section for now, and we'll discuss this, and then we'll continue to do that for all the rest of the purport as well. So here a very important point is made, that men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord. And our question might be, well, why, right? We might think, oh, well, we're going to school, we're doing work, we're writing, in school, we're writing the essay, so why should we offer everything to the Lord? What's the point? And the point is that when we do everything for the service of the Lord, that shifts our mindset, as we were talking about earlier. That shifts our mindset from being set on the result to being set on the process. And even looking at this from like a neurological science perspective, this is very healthy, and it actually is proven to give you better results. So when people are focused on the result, for example, if you're studying or if you're going to work, and let's just say I'm studying and someone might ask me as an ordinary person, why are you studying so hard? What's the point of working so hard? I might say, from being ordinary person, oh, I'm doing this so that I can get a good grade, right? Be like, why do you want to get a good grade? So I can be successful, I can get into a good college, all of these things can happen. So at the end of the day, if that is my answer, that means I'm attached to these results and I have lost my purpose into why I'm studying so hard. Is it really worth studying so much and doing so much effort to just get a good grade at the end of the day, when really we see so many people who have great grades and they don't get success, when so many people, they don't have the best grades and they earn so much success. So therefore, I have no purpose if I am saying it's to get a good grade. However, if I say that I am studying so hard because this is the duty that Krishna has given me as a student in school to study hard, and I am going to study for Krishna, I am now not focused on what grade am I going to get. I'm focused on how I'm going to get there and how I'm going to please Krishna. And Krishna is only going to be pleased if I do my duty nicely to my best potential. So if I study really hard, I have this mindset that I am studying very hard to please Krishna. And there will also never be burnout. If you are doing it for Krishna, you will never experience burnout. And that is something we see all the time, right? Whether you're in school, college, or even in like the workforce, there is so much burnout. And that is because we are just so attached to the results and we don't understand the process as to why we're doing it. And just a personal example, pre-Krishna consciousness, when I would go to school, I hated school. It was miserable. It was every morning I would get up, I would go to school, it was horrible. I would come home, I would do homework. It was just very horrible, right? And it was very miserable. But now, even like today, as I'm trying my best, I'm not no way perfect, trying to do it more for the service of the Lord, it has become so much more enjoyable, 200% times more enjoyable. And of course, I still sometimes wish for snow days and all those things are still there, but there's just this huge mindset change. I don't dread doing my homework. Yes, I face many challenges when I do my homework, right? Difficult problems. It takes up a lot of my time, but it's at the end of the day, if I understand that I am doing it for Krishna, then everything is transcendental and it just becomes so much more enjoyable. And another thing that is very important to understand with all this is Krishna's position. Because we will only understand why it is so important to offer everything that we do for Krishna if we understand what his position is. He is no ordinary human being like us, right? Everything about this world is very temporary and it's based on self-interest, right? I'm only going to invest in something if I'm going to get something from it. So Krishna's position is very important to understand so that we can see why we should be attached to him and why we should love him unconditionally. And the first thing to understand about Krishna's position is that he is a supreme enjoyer. And we should not hear this and think that Krishna is selfish and he's taking all the enjoyment for himself, because he's actually very merciful, telling us this in such a transparent way that he is a supreme enjoyer. Because whatever we do, as we had just previously mentioned, we should do for the satisfaction of Krishna. But also, just an example to understand this, if there is a person, and this person is very nicely decorated, they have very nice hairdo, they have very nice makeup on, they have very nice jewelry on, and they go and stand in front of a mirror, the reflection is automatically going to be beautiful. They don't have to try to make the reflection beautiful. However, if the mirror is very nicely decorated with makeup and hair accessories, and you put a wig on the mirror, well, that's not going to do anything, right? That didn't benefit anyone at all. And so similarly, Krishna is a supreme person. So if we do a lot of service for Krishna, we dress up the deities, we read for Krishna, right? Like right now we're discussing Bhagavad Gita, we do japa, and we do all these things, we are pleasing Krishna. And if we please Krishna, we're like the reflection. We're automatically going to be very happy, and we're not going to have to chase enjoyment. We're automatically going to get that enjoyment because we have decorated the supreme person and we have made him experience pleasure. But in this world, what most people's situation looks like is they're trying to decorate the reflection, right? They're trying to just enjoy themselves, whether that be, I'm watching a movie or I'm spending time on social media or just doing something for self-enjoyment. Well, I didn't please Krishna through that in self-enjoyment, and rather, I can't actually experience any joy like that, because what did decorating the mirror do? It didn't make the mirror look pretty, right? I just now have to go clean this mirror. So we're creating this mess by trying to enjoy, and at the end, we're just gonna have to clean it. We're just unpurifying ourselves, and we want to take up to the process of purification, which is very easily done through this process of Krishna consciousness. The second thing that we want to understand about Krishna's position is that he is the supreme proprietor, and he is the owner of all of the 14 planetary systems in this whole universe. And if you think about that, that makes us seem very insignificant, right? The whole population of Earth is just billions of people, what to speak of all 14 planetary systems in this whole universe. And whatever we have in this world, like everything, absolutely anything you can think of, from your family to maybe your house or apartment. We are a caretaker of that property. That is not our property, and we should never think it is, because that is known as ego, and that can totally, like, Krishna does not like when people have ego, because that is illusion, and that is not what we are actually, that is not our actual position. So we are a caretaker of whatever Krishna has given us. So if, like, when a family, like, parents, they're caretakers of their children, and they should not think these are my children. They should think Krishna has given me these children, so I'm going to take care of them, and we should always be in that mood of service to Krishna. So that's also very important to understand. Also, because this should also free us from our anxiety. If we understand that Krishna is the supreme proprietor, it should free us of so much anxiety, because at the end of the day, we'll see that our problems are really not that big. And an example of this is little kids. Like, we often see that they throw tantrums over the most little things, right? Like younger kids. So if there's like a 2 or 3 year old who's just learning how to write, they're using a pencil and they're learning how to write, and the parent is with them, and just the lead of their pencil breaks, they think that is the end. They think that I am done, they start crying, and that is their absolute end, right? They have a tantrum, they have a whole breakdown, and that's their end. But the parent knows, like, this is not that big of a problem, right? The parent easily takes the pencil, sharpens it, and now it's as good as new. However, for the kid, that seems like such a huge problem. So similarly, Krishna is our supreme parent, and whatever problem we have, like any single problem that is possible to have in this world, is like that lead of the pencil breaking in Krishna's eyes. We are like the little, like, toddler who thinks it's like the biggest deal ever, and we're like, it's the end, and we're just like crying, and we're so miserable because of this tiny little problem that actually is not that hard to solve. But in order for Krishna to come in as our supreme parent and take care of whatever problem we might have, because to him it's not that big of a problem, it's like very little speck, we need to be surrendered. And surrender is so important, because it's not something everyone can do, but it is something that if we do, we will see the change. From the second we surrender, we will see a huge change in our whole life. You know, one time someone asked Prabhupada, the devotee, they asked Prabhupada, how long does it take to surrender? Does it take multiple lifetimes? And Prabhupada said 1 second, right? He said, not like 5 minutes. Like, it does not take long. You can do it just this instant. So the second you surrender, you will definitely see a change in your life. And another example to give to this, if there's a mother and she has 2 kids, one is older and one is younger, and they're all at the airport. The older kid, he's very responsible. He knows that when I go in, I need to take my shoes off, I need to put them in the bin, I need to put my phone in the bin, I need to go through the security check and then grab my items again, put my shoes on. He's got it all down, right? The mom's not gonna be worried about that kid. She's gonna be like, okay, good job, keep doing it, right? But the younger kid, he's just like crying, he's having a tantrum, he can't stop saying, mama, mama, mama. He's tugging at the shirt of his mom, and he's having this whole tantrum. The mom's gonna have to literally carry him, take his shoes off for him, make sure everything is perfect, and do everything for him, right? The younger kid is just, all he's doing is he's just calling out for his mother over and over and crying. So similarly, we want to have that type of surrenderance with Krishna, and that is why we do japa, to maintain this relationship, to get this relationship with Krishna. It's like calling out for your mom, right? So like that, we're calling out to Krishna through this japa practice, and that is why japa is so important, because it helps us surrender onto Krishna. So when we surrender, we will see that Krishna will take care of all of our problems, right? And that doesn't mean that our life is just going to become perfect and we're going to become stress-free and problem-free. Not at all. It's the nature of this world to have problems. But the way that our problems will get resolved, and the way, and like the stability in which we will be able to go through our problems, there will be a drastic difference, and we will see that. So it's very important that we practice this surrender and through this practice of japa, and that we become surrendered to Krishna, because at the end of the day, as we said, our problems are not that big, and Krishna can solve them all. So we should see our problems as a test, not as obstacles, and we can definitely come over them if we do the practice of japa, which shows surrenderance. And the third thing about Krishna's position that we should know is that he is our supreme well-wisher. And many times when we say that Krishna is the only type of lover you will have where you can keep running away from him, he will keep chasing after you. He will never give up. And oftentimes people say, how can that be? This just shows that Krishna is not real because it's too good to be true. And that just shows how miserable we really are. If we are saying that that is too good to be true, that just shows that we are actually miserable. So it's very true that Krishna is our supreme well-wisher, and he is so different from any love in this world because, as we said, he will keep coming after you lifetime after lifetime. Krishna has given us the opportunity. This is probably not our first human birth. He has given us this opportunity over and over to surrender unto him and to just take one step toward him, right? All the devotees are here today. That's this huge step, right? And Krishna's he's going to embrace you. He's going to be so happy that you took the step to just drive here and be here. So it's really important that we just take one step, right? We don't have to on our first day. We don't have to sit here and just start chanting 16 rounds of japa, right? It's just take about those small steps. And if you take these small steps, slowly you will see that you will feel Krishna's presence more and more. And there are many amazing stories of devotees, many stories of devotees who they have come into Krishna consciousness, they have become a practicing devotee. However, something happened, that led them to go away from Krishna consciousness. So then they left Krishna consciousness for a while, but somehow or the other, through the mercy of devotee, through the mercy of Guru, they have come back into this path again. Krishna didn't let them go away, they were gone temporarily, but Krishna was always in their heart, and they somehow were brought back. And by hearing some of their disappearance stories, it is no question whether they went home back to Godhead, because they definitely did, with some of their disappearance stories being with devotees chanting all around them and during their disappearance. So we always need to remember that Krishna is our very supreme well-wisher, and we need to never forget that, because oftentimes when we see that, I'm a practicing devotee, why did this obstacle come in my life? How can Krishna love me? Well, we need to understand that is not because of Krishna, but that is because of the nature of this world. We're always going to have obstacles. So that was the first part of the purport we had discussed. Now we're going to move on to this second part. So I can read this. No one is greater than he. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaram Paramam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be the lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the greatest demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. So here it talks about how we are all trying to be independent and how we are all trying to be the Lord, right? We are trying to be independent, and we are trying to, the way that we all know we are trying to be the Lord is because we are chasing after perfection, which is not ever possible to achieve, right? We all want good health, we all want good wealth, we all want good relationships, good family, we want everyone to think highly of us. And so we are all chasing after perfection. In other words, we are all trying to be the Lord, right? Because only the Lord can be perfect. It is not possible for anyone in this material whole manifestation to be perfect. It's just not possible. It's not the nature of it. And so this this desire to want to be perfect is actually very negative, because it draws us away from what's really important. And what's really important is our relationship with the Lord. We want to have a relationship with the one who's perfect, but we don't want to just try to be perfect ourselves. And also, another important point that I want to mention is that real Krishna consciousness only comes through when we cooperate with others, right? Of course, having all this self-improvement and self-realization is very important, but what's also really important is that we know how to cooperate with other people, and also we know appropriate ways in which to bring other people to Krishna consciousness. And Amrita Prabhu, when he was in Cincinnati, he actually gave this very nice example of his own experience, and he said that he and a group of devotees were going on book distribution around the area where he lived, And one of the devotees who was with Aaradhya Prabhu book distributing was trying to distribute a lot of Bhagavad Gitas. And this one Indian man, he came up to the table, and the devotee, he said, "Oh, Prabhuji, you should take this Bhagavad Gita." And the Indian man, he was so offended. He was like, "You're offending God, you're offending me. How can you call me a Prabhuji?" And then Aaradhya Prabhu kind of chipped in, and he was like, "No, Aaradhya Prabhu, he had said, like, I was talking to this man for 15 minutes, explaining to him why he was a Prabhuji, rather than talking to him about the Bhagavad Gita." So it completely switched what the topic was supposed to be, right? So it's very important we understand how to approach people, especially when we're doing things like book distribution, or even in daily life, if we just want to give someone like a little hint of devotional, or we want to give them a hint of Krishna consciousness and to come to this path. It's very important that we're appropriate and we're reasonable, right? Like telling someone on their first day that they should chant 16 rounds, you're probably never going to see them ever again, right? So just telling them that, come every Saturday, enjoy a nice feast, listen to our class, and, we're just like a big friend group, we're like a family. It's probably more of an appropriate approach, because everyone wants connection with other people, right? Everyone wants to have friends, and this is like a great, like, big family, right, that we have, that we're all coming here together every Saturday. We get to know each other, we get to increase our devotion like that. So just also how you communicate with other people is really important. And just also another question that I personally get is, with school and stuff, most of my friends are all non-devotees, right? Sometimes they want to do crazy things and bad things. And, a lot of times the question I get is, how do you stay situated in devotion, and how do you try to have an influence on them? And really just in professional settings such as school or work, we can't really go and preach to anyone about Krishna consciousness. We can't really say anything about it. But what we can do is we can try influencing them to be a better person through example. And an example of this is in my government class the other day. In my table, there's me, there's 3 other kids, and then there's this one kid who's special needs. And the special needs kids, he has a lot of involuntary movement actions that are not in his control. And whenever he has some of these actions, everyone starts laughing because they think it's funny, right? And that obviously makes the kid feel very upset, because he knows they're all laughing at him, and he knows that he's different from everyone else. So the other day he had one of these actions, and I just, I kept a straight face. I continued to do my work, mind my own business, and the other 3 kids, they were laughing, right? And then they were laughing for 3 seconds, and then they kind of looked at me, and they saw I wasn't laughing, and they stopped laughing too. And the reason that happens is because everyone knows, especially at a mature age, like teenager or older than that, everyone knows what's right and what's wrong. We don't always live by it, but at the end of the day, we know that this is right and this is wrong. So when someone is doing something wrong, but they see someone near them doing the right thing, they're automatically going to feel very ashamed and embarrassed, and they're going to stop doing it as well. So as much as we can't directly preach Krishna consciousness, we can just hope to inspire people to do the right thing in life in general. And that, I think, can go a long way, because you'll usually never see someone who's super ignorant or has a very horrible attitude even try to take in the idea of bhakti. But usually those people who are more accepting of other views, or who are more just kind in general, they tend to all take more up into this process of Krishna consciousness. So hopefully that, if we can inspire people to be better humans in general, we can, kind of make them more likely to take up this path. So kind of definitely a long route, but it can definitely go a long way. Another thing I really want to talk about is this one story, and I think this is a very life-changing story, because I know it definitely impacted me so much when I heard this story. So I really would encourage everyone to listen carefully, because I know for me this was a huge thing, especially if you're in that teenager, high school type age where blending in seems like it's everything, right? And it's so good and it's so cool. So there was this one construction worker, and he was a home construction worker. So he would build houses, and he loved what he did. He loved building homes. He put his absolute heart into every single house he built. He loved it. And he was building homes for many, many years. And every single house he did was absolutely fantastic. And the reason behind that was because he did it with so much passion. He loved building homes. He loved his job. He loved what he did. And he always made sure that every house was perfect in every way. However, he got old and he was at retirement age. So he went to his manager and he said, I have put in so much effort into this business and I'm so happy that you gave me this opportunity to build homes. I really enjoyed what I did and I'm very happy that, I've built so many homes. However, I think now it's time that I step back and I retire. I'm getting at age and I just don't know how much more my body can take of building these homes. So I think I'm going to have to retire. And the manager said, yes, thank you for everything you have done for our company. You have been one of the best in the industry, and we are always going to be very grateful for you. And he said, but wait, can you just build one more home? Just one more house. This house is for a very important person, and we don't want anyone else building it because they might mess up. However, your houses are fantastic, so we want you to build this last home. It's for someone very special. And the construction worker, he was kind of irritated. He was like, I just want to retire. I'm done. I have put my fair duty into this. I don't want to do more. But, he was forced by his manager to build this one last house. So the construction worker, he built this one last house, but he was no longer into it. He no longer had this huge burning passion that he did all the previous years. He just kind of did it to do it. And, at the end, he was done with the house, and it looked okay, but there was something missing, right? It wasn't like all of his other houses that he had built. It wasn't that great. But anyway, he finishes, and he goes to his manager for the second time now, and he says, can I retire now? I have built this house you have requested me. The manager said, okay, yes, you can retire now, but wait, I have to give you something. And the manager took out this black box, and he gave it to the construction worker. The construction worker opened this box, and inside were that keys to the last house he had built. And he just started crying. The construction worker, he was so upset. He was like, if you had told me that this house was going to be for me, I would have done it with my whole heart, just like with all the other houses. But I didn't know this was going to be for me, so I didn't put my whole heart into it, right? And he was so upset because that house was not the best work he did, and he knew that. So, moral of the story is that at the end of the day, we might think that what we do today, right, what we say, what we hear, what we think, our actions, our words, everything, we might think, oh, it won't impact my life. But at the end of the day, it will. And we might think, oh, if I talk about this one person, how is that going to affect me? At the end of the day, it's probably not going to affect the person you were talking about. It's going to affect you. Every second of our life, we are building our own life. Every action, from everything from small to everything bigger, it's all impacting us. And the best part is, or sometimes even the worst part is that we are always going to be stuck with ourselves, right? Like with friends, right? If you have an annoying friend, you can simply just move away, right? You're not glued to them. Even with family, we're not glued to our family. We have times when we're alone, right? We might be driving alone, or we might be somewhere alone, studying alone. We are always going to have alone time, and we can lose everyone in this world, right? We can have alone time from everyone except ourselves. So how we build ourselves and how we build our image for us is the most important thing. We might think, I'm doing this for this person, so it doesn't matter, right? The construction worker thought he was building the house for someone else, but at the end of the day, it impacted him the most. So even if we think, oh, I'm helping this person, what is this going to do for me? It's actually mostly going to impact you and not the other person that much. So it's really important, especially with all of this like culture of like conformity and like blending in, it's really important that we understand that everyone will come and go, but at the end of the day, we're going to be stuck with ourselves, and we have to know who we are, and we have to shape our life to be someone who we're proud of. We want to be that person that we are happy like being with and hanging out with. That's also something that I think is very important. And another thing that with this point I want to emphasize is time management and how we utilize our time. And I think this especially gets important as like we start getting into like higher studies or college or even work where you're managing so many things at once, and it might seem overwhelming. And the other day in my English class, we were having a seminar. We do a lot of seminars in English, so we all like sit in a circle and we have these like graded discussions. And the discussion that we were having was about technology and how it's impacting childhood. And everyone in that seminar, we were all kind of sharing like personal experiences, and most of my like classmates, they were all talking about how they all go home from school and they just doom scroll on their phone for like 2 hours, and then, they remember they have homework, so then they start doing like this one assignment, and they're like, I do 2 questions, I'm so tired, so then I open my phone again, and then they doom scroll for another 2 hours. And so like this, they're all coming to school with like 3 hours of sleep because they were scrolling on their phone for like 5-6 hours every night, and like their homework is not that good quality, it's not done, and they just they don't feel good about themselves, right? Like mental health is not that great, so many problems. And this just kind of like really made me realize, like, what are we doing with ourselves? Like right now we might see that like, okay, like some high school classes, they're not that hard, I can get away with it. But soon as we get older, we're not gonna be able to get away with it. And right now, what we're doing right now is shaping how we're gonna be in the future, right? We might think, when I get to college, I'll stop being on my phone. But it's not that easy. We've addicted ourselves to being on our phone, to bad time management. So it's really important that whatever habit you have, it's always like, it's never wait for a time to start doing that good habit. Right now is the best time that you can do it. And with that, we also want to be reasonable, right? If, one of my classmates, we also talk a lot about goals. And actually through my English class, I feel like I learn a lot that I can connect to Bhakti. But there was this one boy in my English class, and he said he goes to bed every night at 2:30, like 2:30 a.m. And he had a goal, like we were setting goals, and he said, my goal is to go to bed at 9 a.m. tonight. Not reasonable, right? If you're going to bed at 2:30, now all of a sudden you want to go to bed at 9 p.m., that is very unreasonable, right? And the teacher was kind of like, take a step back, maybe try going to bed at midnight tonight, and then slowly you can keep improving. So, it's also very important that we're reasonable with ourselves, because if I set a goal, like if I'm going to bed right now at 2:30 a.m. and I set a goal to go to bed at 9 a.m., the chances of that happening are like 1%. Like I'm 99% setting myself to fail. And that's very discouraging as well, as we go on, because we want to be reasonable with ourselves. So that's also very important in Bhakti, because I think especially when we first come into Krishna consciousness, we are trying to just, very much just go from being on A to like Z, and that's actually going to be very discouraging. So those small steps mean everything, and they definitely will lead to like long-term improvement in general. So this is the next part of the purport we'll read. This 5th chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. And the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial toward anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. So here, it talks a lot about controlling the senses, and it also ties into very well into what we were talking about with our previous slide, where we were talking about how everything eventually is going to have an impact on you. And here it talks about karma, and karma is exactly this, right? Whatever we do, whatever we hear, whatever we say ourselves, right? Even whatever we see is going to have an impact on us. And karma yoga, basically the whole philosophy of this is, if we are in this world and we do very pious, charitable acts, we are going to go to the heavenly planets. And going to the heavenly planets is like being on vacation, right? I can get a 1-week vacation to go to Cancun, Mexico. I can enjoy for 1 week a lot, but then eventually I am going to have to come back and I'm going to have to go to school again and do all of these things again. So going to the heavenly planets is like going on vacation. And however, if you are just enjoying, right, you are enjoying and you're doing nonsense things and you're doing many negative, bad things and you're hurting people, you're going to have to go to the hellish planets. And the more you suffer in the hellish planets, the more bad karma you burn off, and then eventually you're getting closer to your birth on earth. And same thing with heavenly planets. The more you enjoy, the closer you're getting to your birth on earth again. And if you, in the Bhagavatam, it is actually very described in detail what the hellish planets are like. And I know reading that gave me like the goosebumps. Like, I was like, there's no one who should ever have to go through that, right? And just the fact that that is real is just very scary. So we should always make sure that we understand, you know, what we're doing and where that's going to lead us to. So, you know, it's also emphasized why we said we're going to get closer to our birth on earth, right? And that is why this human form of life is so auspicious, because there is almost never a time when, you know, rarely ever a case where someone who's not a human is able to return back home, back to Godhead. And the reason is because humans have this like higher intelligence, right? Even science says humans are some of the most intelligent beings, right? We are able to understand things as they are, and we're able to really, like, we can analyze, right? And most other species cannot analyze. So it's really important that we are making good use of our human form of life, right? And all the other species of life that there are, we can enjoy just like we can in this life. So it's really important that we use our like higher intelligence that Krishna has given us, and we are able to utilize it in the service of Krishna. With this, it is also very important that we understand that not every human is in a specific spot. Like, we are all so blessed that we are able to think properly, that our hands and feet like work properly, and we're able to chant japa and do all these things. Even if you look at it, like, so many humans and so many people, they're going through so much suffering, and that, you know, that really impedes their path to Krishna consciousness, because they can only practice so much, they can only do so much, right, with their like body and how much like they have given. Like, some people, they can't hear very well, and that is, you know, unfortunate, because then, you know, it's hard to like get the knowledge and stuff. And some people, they can't see, so it's hard to read scripture and do all these things, see the deity. So we should always be very thankful for what we have. You know, I think these are things that we take for granted so much. That fact that we have working eyes, we have working ears, we're able to walk and talk and do all these things, which we take for granted, when really there's someone who would like die to like talk the way we can and, you know, see the way we can. So it's very important that we're not just taking the things that we have for granted, right? And a statistic to kind of also bring this to life is, there's a statistic, and this is a real statistic, I did not make this up, that if you have appropriate food, housing, and shelter, 3 basic things, you are richer than 75% of the world. You are in the top 25%. So just the fact that every morning, like, we probably ate something this morning, right? We have a roof over our head, and we have all these things, and we might even be in a position where we can buy things that we want. That is so, like, that is Krishna's blessing, and we should be thankful, right? We shouldn't get so, you know, upset when we don't get something we want. Like, being in the top 25%, like, that is just such a blessing. And when we think about that statistic, it's sad, but we should also feel grateful that Krishna has given us such an opportunity that we barely have to worry about everything, and that we can give more time to the Lord, right? I mean, think about it. If you don't have appropriate food and you don't have appropriate water, appropriate shelter, then it's going to be very hard to practice Krishna consciousness with the peace of mind. So it's very important that we're always very thankful, because Krishna has given us so much, and just, you know, totally like getting mad to Krishna about one bad day that's really sad, right? That's very unappreciative, because there's someone who, for your bad day, is probably someone's best day ever. So just, you know, kind of switching that perspective is very important. Now, obviously, you know, with that being said, we're all going to have feelings, right? I'm not saying we all always have to be happy. In fact, that's unrealistic. But just, you know, if you ever feel unhappy, you know, kind of sit down with yourself, chant japa, and just think, well, what do I have? Like, what am I grateful for? And just writing those things down, or even just thinking about them in your head, is very important. So this is the last part of the purport, and if someone knows like where we ended, someone else can read if they would like, or I can just read it as well. We stopped at, and one stands fast in Krishna consciousness. Thank you. So this is the last part of the purport, and here it talks about how Krishna consciousness is the highest perfection of life. And really, just if we look at it, Krishna consciousness is the primary priority of our life. However, we often see that we are treating it like a side hustle, right? Whereas everything else, like secondary, such as wealth or the type of clothes we wear, the relationships that we have in this world, all these things we often put to primary, and we ignore Krishna consciousness and make that secondary. So we have kind of like a reverse system here, and we need to unreverse this and actually put it in as it's supposed to be. And an example and like a practical way that we can all kind of do this is kind of keeping a scorecard. And if you can just write this down on a piece of paper, have a Google document, or even if you can only do it in your head, that's all okay, right? But basically what this scorecard is you're going to think of 4 things that are very important to you from a deathbed perspective. So if this were your last day, these are 4 things that you would look back on your life on and you would be proud of. Now, as devotees, our hopefully number 1 thing should be our relationship with Krishna. And then we can think of 3 other things. And these 3 other things should not be easy to think of. It's a very deep idea to think of, things that we would look back on our life and we would say, I am proud of these 4 things, with hopefully number 1 being our relationship with Krishna, because that will ultimately, prove to us where we're going to go after this life. So just if you can make this scorecard, what this will do is it will shift this, right? So we no longer will think of, on the deathbed, no one's going to think about how much wealth do I have? What clothes did I wear? What did so-and-so think about me? These are not going to be important. What's going to be important is, how is my relationship with Krishna? Maybe one of the second things that you put down on your scorecard is your character. How was my character? How did I treat people? What impact did I have? Did I emphasize like the idea of volunteer and service? What did I do that was right? And every day, just, if you have this like in your head, like just look back at your scorecard and look at these 4 categories and just see, how did I work on my relationship with Krishna today? Maybe did I chant my rounds very nicely, right? Or maybe you didn't chant your rounds very nicely. So maybe you can say, okay, I didn't chant my rounds very nicely today, so these are the steps I'm going to take, and then I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow. So the whole goal is that we understand what our priority is, we're giving that priority, and we are able to slowly make that improvement, right? We are not aiming for perfection, we're just aiming to be better tomorrow than we were today. So that's just our goal, and I think just having the scorecard, it really is like more of a deep idea, and it just helps bring all of these it helps bring all of our priorities together in one place, so that when we never know when it's going to be our last day. So on our last day, we're always happy that we've lived our life in a nice and fulfilling way. Another thing I want to mention with that is we kind of got, with scorecards, you're probably going to be setting a lot of goals, right? Like, today I did this, and so my goal tomorrow is to do whatever that may be. But with goals, a lot of times, and this is also something we do in school, is we are required to set goals, like weekly goals, like what are you going to do this week that you're going to be proud of by the end of the week, and what steps are you going to do to get there? And many times when you ask people, hey, did you meet your goal? On Friday, we'll ask each other, did you meet your goal? Most people will say, I don't even remember what my goal was. So So obviously there is this problem, right, that we don't even remember what our goal is. So our number one thing should be we are making goals that actually mean something to us, right? And the second thing should be that we are making like a realistic process as to how we can get there. And the third thing is, and I think this is a thing that is very overlooked and sometimes not even mentioned, is we are writing down what sacrifices we're gonna have to make to be able to achieve that goal. Because at the end of the day, no one was able to do anything great by just sitting on their couch doing nothing, right? They all had to sacrifice something, whether that was sleep, their screen time, their social time, maybe, the amount of time they have for fun or for leisure, whatever that may be, something had to have been sacrificed in order for you to do something great. So a lot of times with goals, I think they kind of seem fantasy, right? Like they seem like, okay, well, if I do my goal, my life is going to be really great, right? But along the way, you're going to have to give up something. And if you're not realistic when setting the goal as to what you're going to have to give up, most likely that goal is not going to serve you well, right? And you're going to feel very discouraged because you thought that you could just maintain everything and achieve your goal when really you have to give up something in the middle to be able to achieve your goal. So like, for example, if my goal is I want to wake up early, right? I want to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. If that is my goal, I'm going to have to think, what do I have to sacrifice? Because if I want to go to bed at 5 a.m., that probably means I should be going to bed at around 10 o'clock latest, right? So that means, okay, well, maybe I'm going to have to reduce my screen time throughout the day, right? Because that means I'm going to have to get my work done faster. Maybe that means I'm going to have less social time. Maybe that means I'm going to have less rest time during the day. There's going to be something I have to sacrifice. And when you really think about what am I going to have to sacrifice to meet my goal, you do two things. The number one thing you do is you see if this goal is actually good for you. And what I mean by this is if I set some sort of goal and this goal is requiring me to sleep less 3 hours every single night, that probably means this goal is going to cause me more harm than good. And that is something to look at because a lot of times goals are just things that we want to do, but we don't see what effect is that going to have on me. So if I am setting this goal and it's actually like depriving me of sleep, then that's harming me. That is not a good goal. And so when I think of what sacrifice am I going to have to make, I'm really bringing it to reality. And the second thing I'm doing is I'm just seeing, well, if I'm going to have to make these sacrifices, it makes me, like throughout the day, then I'll be more conscious. Like I have to avoid screen time. So then I'm going to avoid screen time because I'm ambitious to get to my goal. So those are some things really important things to take into consideration when we do a scorecard or when we set these goals. Now just kind of summing everything we've talked about up. We never want to leave anything. I think there's this misconception from somewhere, it's born somewhere that whenever we come into spiritual life or we want to have devotion, we should leave everything and we should only do devotion. And that's not true. We should only do devotion, but we can only do devotion by changing our mindset, right? So we should not start studying less. We should not stop studying. We should keep working. We should keep striving to do our absolute best, but we should change our mindset as to how we're doing that. So our mindset should more be towards I want to do my best for Krishna. I want to please Krishna. Like if I do good, Krishna will be so proud of me. And at the end of the day, that should be all that matters because our result, it will come, right? There's no one who always gets good results. Some results are good, some results are bad. You could work equally as hard for both of them. But at the end of the day, you want to make Krishna proud. And just if you have this mindset, it's very healthy as well, right? It makes everything totally transformed. And it is a very healthy mindset to just always have, especially as things get harder academically, during work life and everything. And also, just kind of a plus point is having good grades and being very educated or having a nice job are all very plus points in Krishna consciousness because people are more likely to listen to people who are materially successful. And when we go out to preach Krishna consciousness, a lot of times devotees, they first say what their occupation is because the person's more likely to stay, right? If you say, I don't have a job, I'm not educated, then people are not really that likely to listen to you, right? Coming from a material viewpoint. So it's very important that we are also just doing it with that mood that I can use this as a preaching, right? As a preaching opportunity. And lastly, just to end off, I just want to say 2 practical tips that have helped me, and to just try to offer everything that I do to Krishna. So the first tip is, like, for example, after every class or after every period of time, try, say all this math I have done or everything I've done in this class, I offer to Krishna's lotus feet, like I offer to your lotus feet, Krishna, right? This does not need to be some sort of long prayer, just like 10 seconds in your head after every class, after every patient, after every assignment that you do. Just think, everything I have done, Krishna, it's for your lotus feet. And at first, most likely the mood will not be there, but slowly through repetition, you will see yourself developing that mood, and that's all that matters, is that slowly you are making improvement. And the second thing that we can do to offer our everyday things to Krishna is we can offer the result. We can say, if I work this job, then, I'll offer some of the money to you, and we can do a specific amount, or if I get this grade, then I can use it for my preaching. People would want to listen to people who have good grades and good study habits and all of those types of things. So I'm going to end with that today. Thank you so much all for being such great supporters. I definitely felt the support just sitting here, and I am so happy I got this opportunity, and I hope I can apply all this to my life as well. Thank you.
Wow, that's the word that I have. It's amazing. When a lot of senior devotees speak, senior is such a cliche. Every word was resonating with me. I was running short of writing notes. Thank you so much. Questions?
Hare Krishna. Aaradhya, what a phenomenal lecture. You're such a strong preacher, and I'm so proud of you, and we are so proud as a congregation to have you as a part of our congregation. We just see such bright future in you. So amazing, and thank you very much for this wonderful, wonderful lecture. You did such a good justice to that verse. And my question was just about how, as a devotee, you handle peer pressure at your school, as a growing teenager, when you see girls around you with makeup, partying, boyfriends, food, drinks, how do you handle it? Do you feel yourself, when you separate yourself from them, do you feel like you have no one around you? How do you emotionally handle it?
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, that's a very nice question. So my main thing would be just knowing who you are, having confidence in yourself, knowing that you don't need to do anything to be better, right? So many times people struggle with, when someone makes fun of them, they struggle with just, who am I, right? But if you know who you are, people can do various things around you, and it will not affect you. So as you said, a lot of my friends, they're all into a bunch of wrong things, and I see them doing that, and they talk about it a lot, but just knowing who I am and has really helped me. And Krishna consciousness, I know that I am a servant of Krishna, and I know that I am Aaradhya, and these are my values. So I think just having that strong set of values has really helped me, because even if I do listen to them talk about all these things, or I even see them doing bad things, at the end of the day, it doesn't really affect me, because I know who I am. And I think a big part of it is being proud of who you are, right? I have to be proud of who I am, to not take in any of these other influences, because I am just proud of I am so happy that I get to be in this devotional service and all of this thing. And as you also said, how do I not feel alone, emotionally? And I think a big thing is just always knowing Krishna's with you. And as we had talked about today, that Krishna is a supreme proprietor, his position is so supreme, if you have him, who else do you need, right? You could lose all your friends, but at the end of the day, Krishna, he's the best, right? He's the supreme, he's in charge of everyone. So if you have him as your friend, who else do you need as your friend? So I think that's also another big thing that I have felt, because obviously I do have friends at school, but it might not be such a close-knit relationship, since I don't really resonate with a lot of the things that they do, and I don't want to join in. So just being really proud of who you are and knowing who you are, I think are two big things that have helped me, and that has definitely not come since like day one. I've definitely had to like build on it, right, through like just like knowing who I am. And honestly, like one kind of thing that I do want to say is also I have seen the damage it does. Like all those things that people are doing, like I see the damage it does. And I think just having that, like opening your eyes to that broader viewpoint rather than just seeing, oh, they're doing this and they're enjoying, seeing more of like what the damage it's doing to them. Like most of my friends do not have great mental stability, unfortunately. And it's just something that's obviously really sad, but it's something that if you really open your eyes to see the reality, I do think it helps. And yeah.
Another question here.
I would say another wow. It was a wow class. I'm so happy that I came. And I'm so happy Hashika was sitting there and she was listening. I felt every mom would like their daughters and their kids to listen to you, Aaradhya, today. It was wonderful. I'm so proud of you, as Anandri said, from the bottom of my heart. My question is, you being in high school, having so much of homework and projects to finish, how do you take time out on daily basis or on weekly basis to read scriptures, complete your japa, and how do you keep yourself motivated? Because I motivate Harshika and Vidhi to start, but then, I have to keep doing that. But you are at such young age, you're, definitely studying because you're speaking such big words of wisdom that won't come without studying. So how do you do that?
So my biggest thing is like, as for like doing japa, I try to make it my priority. Some days I'm not able to wake up early and, do all my rounds, but I do try that as soon as I come home from school, I finish my rounds immediately. And something that I have noticed, and this is not something I'm making up, but genuinely have noticed, is that when I prioritize my chanting, all my homework goes so much faster without burnout. And that is something that is absolutely true. Like whenever I, prioritize doing my 16 rounds first, I see that my brain just works faster. Like things just make more sense. And at the end of the day, it would make sense why it is that way, because none of this knowledge that all these math problems, all of these essays, and at the end of the day, these are all like the teacher knows how to do them. They're not impossible, right? So I think Krishna definitely does supply us with knowledge, and he increases our brain power when we do our japa first. So that's, I think, one way that's helped me balance is doing japa has actually helped me balance my schoolwork better, because I just think my brain works so much faster, and it's definitely something that you should try, and it definitely does make a huge difference. And another thing with that, as per motivating other kids into Krishna consciousness, my biggest thing would be that starting with japa is we should never force the japa, because we should do whatever service we should do from the heart. And as soon as we think of japa as some sort of homework assignment or chore, it becomes miserable, and the whole purpose of japa is completely defeated. So I would say, just if someone really likes music and they're very musically inclined, encourage them to do more of it, right? Encourage them to learn new bhajans on the harmonium, encourage them to maybe learn a new instrument and play bhajans on that instrument and do it for the service, because at the end of the day, we want Krishna consciousness to be a very pleasing experience. We don't want this to be some sort of chore that we're doing and we're stuck into. And so if we can just make Krishna conscious a pleasure for everyone, that is the biggest thing. So if someone likes to read, give them new books of bhakti to read. So just really encouraging them more in whatever they're good at. Yeah.
Such a wonderful answer. And what I say is, this answer is not applicable to kids. It's actually applicable to adults also. And the previous question also, the answer was applicable to adults also at workplace. So just keep that in mind. Whatever you feel you're inclined to, you should do more, as Aaradhya says. And thank you so much. These are incredibly jewels, and these are valuable for adults also.
Hare Krishna, Aaradhya.
Hare Krishna.
Congratulations for the new center. You are the opening speaker. Give her a big hand. My question, I have two questions. First is, when you are at school, do you try to tell your friends, the school friends, about what you are into, the preaching thing?
No. So as I said, I just more emphasize being like a good person and setting that example of a good person, just because just like in a school environment, I just feel like it's like not very appropriate. Everyone's very like set on whatever religion or beliefs that they follow. And I just feel like it would just like more of a professional setting just to keep it that way. I usually do not. But hopefully I like just through my character, I hope that people can just take away from that. So
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. And I was wondering, like, the kids in the school, they are totally like, differently oriented, all come from different backgrounds. But do you have any school friend who is into this ISKCON
No.
preaching? Okay.
Yeah.
And second question, how do you, today, did your mother help you? Because when you were talking of grades, I was thinking that, and like, do you get from spanking, like, God preaching ho raha hai, now study, the grades might get affected.
No, I'm actually very lucky to have parents who do not put any sort of academic pressure on me. And I think that is one reason I was actually able to like take more passion into like improving my grades myself, is because my parents always say, just try your best, right? Like, you should not come home from school, sit, watch TV, do nothing, and then say, oh, well, why did I fail the test? My parents more emphasize, like, work hard, study, right? If you have questions, ask those questions. And at the end, like, just do the test with, like, a fresh mind, right? You know you tried your best. Just do the test with a fresh mind. And if you still fail the test, that's okay. Just understand why you failed the test, what you got wrong. And so I think that is something that has actually helped me, because that is very healthy, right? Work hard and don't worry about the results. So my parents, luckily, I actually really thank them, have not put any sort of academic pressure on me. And I think that has actually opened the door for me to want to have like better like success in that way.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I wish you are good at the grades, you top there, and you come again and again and give us such nice lectures. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Aaradhya. Awesome lecture. I think the thing that stuck with the most with me was how great your examples were. Now, anytime I'm going through security while I'm traveling, I will think of that,
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that. I'll build on the question that Anilini Gopika Mataji asked. So you said all your friends are different, they have different habits than you, things that, I'm just going to pick one, which is like meat eating, for example, right? We know we shouldn't judge, and like you said, it doesn't do anything to the other person, the harm is probably going to come to us. Can you share a bit more about any relatable things that you do if you find yourself maybe judging someone and you realize that this is the wrong thing to do? We should not be judging, but instead focus on our own actions.
Yeah, so that is a very good question. And the biggest thing that I have seen is, obviously, as you mentioned, like the effect is going to come on us. But also, if you really look at like the position, like we need to see everyone as part and parcel of Krishna, right? We should not differentiate as, oh, this person's a meat eater, or oh, this person does this person does this. Just, kind of looking at everyone with like an equal lens of their part and parcel of Krishna, and ultimately they're like we're all related in that way. And also, like, sometimes I do actually feel very sorry for some people, because obviously in the Bhagavatam it talks about like the different types of hells, and one of them is the meat eating. So I do feel very sorry for them, and that just makes me like want to be more kind to them and hope that I can inspire them, because like at the end of the day, you're going to listen to people who are kind and who are reliable and who have like that sort of like attitude. So I just hope that like through my attitude, I can hopefully just like be nice to them, because I do feel very sorry for them, because they're in such ignorance of like this whole meat eating and all of this types of things. And a lot of times when like the whole topic of like I'm vegetarian comes up, people are like, you're crazy, you're missing out, you're really missing out. And I'm like, like I enjoy being vegetarian. It makes me feel really good. And so people are usually very ignorant of the views, and it makes me really sad, because like through the spiritual knowledge, we know what's coming. And so I just think, it is hard to like not judge and do all these things. But I think just if you can bring in like the feeling that everyone is equal, and I'm not perfect in any way either. I have my faults, and sometimes even like the meat eaters, like, I might struggle with like a certain, character like aspect of myself, and they're good at that character aspect. So just really taking in what's good, kind of leaving out the bad unless they seek advice, just leaving out the bad, taking in what's good and using that to like improve as well. So yeah.
So thank you. I hope to be like you when I grow up.
Recently on WhatsApp, there has been another circulation going on with the 5th regulative principle, do not criticize. So that was so nicely explained. Look at the good things and don't criticize if somebody is doing bad. So nicely explained. Thank you. Any other questions in the back? Yes, bro.
Wonderful lecture, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for blessing us with your speech. So if I may ask, have you ever been bullied in school for your beliefs, your practices?
No, most people don't even know that like I, like believe in God, or I just act normal, I don't obviously like blend in and do the wrong things that other people like might do, but I just kind of like I'm normal, like I'm a normal like student at school, so I don't think like most people don't even know about these like beliefs and all. So.
And how do you find time to study spiritual texts or scriptures with everything that you have as your practice of rounds and homework and study and test and whatnot?
Yeah, so I'm not able to like really deeply study like scripture like on weekdays. I just try like before bed reading like one page of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or another like Prabhupada book. I just read like one page, so it takes like 30 seconds, and then I'm able to like go to bed. So on a daily basis, I'm not able to like read scripture that much, but on weekends I definitely try to sit down for like some time and watch a lecture or more deeply like analyze and read and take notes on whatever scripture I'm reading. So definitely more of it comes on weekends, but I do try to just read like one page a night on other days. Yeah, thank you.
One page a night, that is 365 pages in 1 year.
Hare Krishna. I think I'm asking this question on behalf of my kids, Sahana and Kanishka, sitting right in front of you. Any piece of advice or suggestion would you like to give for young kids, in elementary school, to be consistent with this journey of spiritual knowledge?
Yeah, and as I said, like the biggest thing is probably just whatever you like, right? Even if you like art, draw pictures of Krishna, right? Bring your service in that way. So there is no force to do any japa. Just whatever you like doing, be consistent with whatever that may be. And that would be my biggest thing, is just, you can sit down with them and read Krishna Leela or Krishna books and, tell them about the glories of Krishna. I mean, I know like as a kid and even now I love stories. So just having those stories and, engaging myself in whatever service is like your favorite would be my top 2 things that I would say is probably best. Okay.
That's great. Thank you. Oh, we have one more comment.
No questions, Aaradhya. That's just like number 5. Wow, all the way to infinity for you. Just like Sakshi said, I want to be you, or part of just a fraction of you when I grow up as well. You really exemplified what I saw in your examples when you're talking about teenagers around you doing all kind of bad things and how you remain unaffected. For me, I visualize a lotus flower, even though it grows around the mud, yet it remains untouched and it exudes beauty. And that's how we absolutely see in you, a pure beauty, beautiful heart, beautiful soul. Thank you very much for this wonderful class. It was such an inspiration, and you are inspiration to me. I love you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that lecture. I appreciated how very practical it was. So my question for you is, chanting every single day, reading some scripture, it takes up a lot of my time, and it's obviously something I really appreciate. But also, as you've mentioned, it's like going to school. I go to work. There's no devotees around me, And so I'm not really watching TV, I'm not listening to a lot of modern music, I'm not watching sports, and sometimes I feel like it makes it really hard to relate to other people. So I guess what I would ask you is like, how do you, in the midst of your sadhana, how do you find yourself relating to others who are not practicing Krishna consciousness?
That is an awesome question. And it's, sometimes it's important, just like when we discuss with people, to be able to relate and join in on the conversation. And my biggest thing would be, I know I personally, I try to stay up to date, somewhat up to date with the news and stuff, just so I know what's going on around me. And I could so I can be able to relate and know and be on top of those types of things. And then also just when we're talking with people and we want to relate, I definitely do think that Krishna sends in something to be able to say to relate to that conversation. So definitely, I don't think this is the best answer, but just for me, I just feel if it just kind of comes automatically, and just it doesn't whenever I try relating with people, or whenever I'm in discussion with people about modern things or certain music, Taylor Swift came up with a new album, and that was the top discussion thing, and I didn't really listen to the album, but just being able to talk very on more of a broad spectrum, kind of obviously I didn't talk about anything super specific, but just yeah, no, I agree, or just kind of adding on to that. So I'm sorry, I don't think this is the best answer, but just kind of what I've done.
So Prabhuji, thank you, Aaradhya, for the answer. I think I can relate that with you. So I do chanting, I do some scripture reading, and when I go to office or talk to the people around me, they talk baseball, football, and all those things. And obviously, I'm not into football. I don't have that time to just go and watch that. So I get involved in the discussions. You have to, otherwise they just leave you apart. They will not, involve you in other discussions, and slowly you are just an outskirt that they will just. So I do, but in a generic way, that I just make sure that I know the game. And when they talk, I don't talk. I said, yeah, it is his team, I'm neutral, because I don't want to be on either side, but I love the game. I looked at it, I didn't watch, but I watched it, it was fine, and whatever they said, I repeated, so that they know that I have done it. So I do the same. I am not very interested in any of the baseball or football, but sometimes my elder daughter is on Ohio State, Buckeye, so she always keeps me updated that, oh, this is a touchdown, this is that, and that what I just repeat. So, I think we just need to have some generic knowledge of that. And I do read news. And how I do read news is I take 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes, to just browse through the entire page of CNN or CNBC. I know business, I'm into business. They always talk of business. I want to keep myself updated. And I just touch upon whatever I liked in that news. I just touch upon, they know, oh, he knows that. So just get involved in that discussion, but in a very generic way rather than getting to a specific of Red Sox versus Buckeye or versus this. So.
Thank you. So let's chant Hari Bol 3 times and thanks Aaradhya. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Wonderful. I have a bunch of notes and questions. I'll approach you after. Anyone here who is for the first time? Anyone who has come here for the first time? Nobody. So that's wonderful. So we are old-timers, family people. So, oh, we have somebody new for the first time. Okay. Why don't you say your name, introduce yourself, so that we can welcome you.
My name is Shri. I'm here with Harita. She's my friend.
Oh, very good. Let's chant Hari Bol 3 times and welcome Shri. Hari Bol. Wonderful. We will stand up now and we will sing Aarti.